ओ मेरे भाई। Well, hello, as always. We'll talk about herbs today, and we will talk about how those herbs could be used in your kitchen. With herbs, we human beings have been using them in our kitchens, in our culinary environments for a very long time. Reason? They bring flavor, and each herb has its own flavor. Medicinal values also. We will not talk about medicinal values today, but generally we'll talk about how they could be used in the kitchen and how you can enhance the flavor of what you eat. It was 80 degrees outside. It's raining right now and it's cold. So when it comes to herbs, what difference does it make? We will put some herbs and keep in mind that herbs, some are annual, some are perennials. And perennials, we'll discuss which is what. And there are some which actually, depending on where you live, become annual. They're not perennials anymore. As I'll put some herbs in the ground now, I'm just telling you, it's just so cold. So cold that I'm wearing another layer. Two herbs that I love that I would not put in the ground right now because you have to figure out how the temperature is. One is basil, the other is cilantro or coriander, as I say it. Reason? It's still cold. So when we talk about herbs, there are some, and I'll tell you about them. There are some which are used across the world, and most of us are familiar with those. Then there are some that even if you don't have a green thumb and you can kill them, then you need to get yourself checked because those herbs could not be killed, and we'll talk about later. But let's start with parsley. Curly parsley that I'm about to put in my herb garden, leaf parsley or curly parsley, they go very well with the Greek, Middle Eastern, and to the point some of the Asian cooking beautifully. A point which has to be understood. Herbs, there are some that you use towards the start of the cooking and then you sprinkle on it. Parsley does not have too much flavor, so you always add on top. So anything in the Turkish cooking or in Arab cooking, they use fresh parsley. Rue, R-U-E, a herb where Bible has talked about. You can find the reference. I don't need to quote the verse of Bible. It's that old. It's out of culinary environment today because people find it to be too bitter. Bitter is a flavor. It has medicinal values. We're not talking about medicinal, but let's talk about where it could be used. Anything where you need a deep flavor, be a chicken dish, be a fish dish, or even making curry, you can use it towards the start of the dish compared to towards the end. If you want to use towards the end, just use very little. It has very overpowering flavor, but the flavor is amazing. A herb which has a wonderful name, sage. The word also used for intelligent people or people who have knowledge. I don't know if both of these things are exclusive to each other or not. But what I have in front of you, and you can have a look, it's called I'm actually looking at the tag, a tricolor sage. It comes again in different colors. The regular green one is the most people use. Sage has a lighter flavor to it. It works wonderful with white meats, beef chicken, beef fish. I'm not a pork eater, beef pork. But sage should be used almost towards the end when you're done with preparing your dish. Try it and you'll figure out how to use it. Have you heard about Za'atar? Za'atar is a mix of three herbs and with sesame seeds, and depending on the culture, in Turkey it's done a bit differently compared to in Middle East. And Turkey and Middle East are very different places. When people make a mistake, that's just a lack of knowledge. It starts with thyme. Thyme, again, is almost like a creeping kind of vegetable. So if you have a raised garden and put thyme towards the end of it, and it will fall down, and it will just make it look beautiful. Aroma of it is wonderful. It is on the lighter side. It should be used almost towards the end of a dish. Again, this is a herb that should be used with white meats. By the time you get to red meats, it does not have enough power to it that it will make a difference when if you're cooking lamb or beef. Even though, as I said it, the cultures I've talked about, they do use that on lamb a lot and beef both. But the amount you need to do that, you have to have a lot. And what they do is they dry it and then they just add a lot of it. I do think when it's Za'atar, it's not just thyme. It has other things, oregano and few other oregano, and I can't remember the third herb which is in there. So the flavor really happens with oregano and the other herb. I think it's sage. I could be wrong. You can check and you can correct me. What's the third herb? Thyme is a very mild flavor herb. Use it. You can use a lot. And again on white meats and vegetables. Or anyway, rosemary, a herb which has a very powerful flavor. And having powerful flavor does not mean we should be scared of it. It works better with red meats, especially with white meats. I would choose not to. If you're using with vegetables or let's say potatoes, don't use too much of it. Just a little bit, like two or three of the twigs is more than enough. It brings that flavor together. With vegetables, I will use it when I'm almost roasting vegetables compared to if I'm just boiling or steaming them. That said, the other thing which rosemary brings in the garden is it eventually will have a lot of smell in the garden also. When it rains, you will be able to smell it. It brings a lot of good flowers also. It's very close to lavender, and it's just beautiful to look at. Marjoram, again, an ancient herb, and you'll keep on hearing the word ancient because herbs have come from back in the day when humans were trying to figure out how to flavor their food. Pine to citrusy kind of a flavor. Again, could be used, I'll say that it should be used with white meats, but it could be used with red meat, depending how you use it. In terms of flavor on the lower end of spectrum, but enough flavor, and right now you can even smell it. Good herb to have in your garden. Mix it with other herbs if you just don't want the flavor marjoram. Very close to the oregano flavor, but it's not oregano. Some people make the mistake thinking of it as oregano. But that said, this is one of those herbs that when you're planting it, plant in its separate section. It's a perennial and it comes back just like oregano and mint a lot. So be careful where you plant it. Don't plant in a space that you might need next year. Tarragon, typically known because of French cooking, and that's unfair because most people know about French tarragon and it's used in that culture a lot. A very mild herb. You can use it again with white meats. If you're vegetarian, using it with mushrooms. Again, potatoes. Excellent mild flavor. And you have to have that in your garden. And one thing which I keep on talking about this herb compared to this herb, by the time fall happens, you can pull everything out, put upside down, dry it, crush it together, and make a herb mix. In my house, what I do every year, I do the same thing, and then I call it a herb bath. Just the name I came up with. It's not the same recipe each year, depending on what grows. That's how I do it. Mint. It's one of those herbs that I alluded to earlier. Mint and oregano. Once you start it, you cannot kill it. So if you ever think that you don't have a green thumb, and if you can kill oregano or mint, you surely don't. So save yourself some time and don't try to grow anything. That was just a joke. The reason being, anytime you have a mint or oregano, put them in their own spots, and confined spaces. Once they start growing, you cannot kill them. And the mint and oregano are two things which are best done in containers. If you use your regular garden, they will take over, like strawberries also. We're not talking about fruits right now. Now, I just brought in front of you, I just brought lemongrass just to show you. I'm not about to put it outside. Right now, I have a porch in the front which is covered. So it is sitting outside, but it's not ready for out. So just to recap, the, all the herbs that I've talked about, they can go out today, right now. The rain has stopped and we will go and plant them very soon. But there are things which are not ready for outside. Lemongrass is one, cilantro is the other, basil is another, and there are some annual herbs that you have to be careful because they really like warm temperatures. We are not warm enough in northeast United States as of right now, even though we are in May. So you have to look around you and figure out what are the best. So let's go and plant things outside.